Hi, and hallo alles. Today we're practicing German, and here we're with German teacher Deliana Hunley, and she's of the website germanskills.com. So thank you for coming on to this live lesson, and can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your background?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Should I say it in English or in German?
Both. I mean, start getting into it.
Okay. My name is Diliana. I'm a German teacher. I teach actually only online right now because I believe that this is the most flexible way for many people to learn a foreign language. And I focus actually teaching only expats, like adults or business people who move to Germany because of their job and they move there with their families. So I'm specialized in helping those people transfer to the new country, learn the language, learn more about the culture, or get accustomed to the culture. And I like to help people overcome all the struggles that they might have there. Yeah. So
Cool.
this is what I do.
How long have you been teaching?
Probably like for 7 years now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you
And
enjoy
actually,
the most about teaching?
I love when I can help people learn something that they've been struggling with in an easier way and in a more fun way, so that they can actually see, okay, it's not that hard, or this is actually useful, and this is how I can use it in real life. So for me, the focus is always on being effective and teaching actually what people really need and what they want to know in a specific situation, because that's what language is for, right? We learn languages in order to communicate and in order to connect with other people.
Excellent. Yeah, I completely agree. So let's get into some materials here to practice for the German. So as I've mentioned to some people in the Facebook group and other platforms, just to mention, Benny Lewis is launching a couple new language hacking books. So we're going to take a look at just a few of these brief conversations that are in there, kind of correct my pronunciation and try to expand a little bit on the conversation and also get into Diliana's materials as well. So we're going to be using just the sample from the Teach Yourself Language Hacking German for these little conversations. So let's get started here. So this is, I'll try to read all of this and maybe you can let me know about the pronunciation as well.
Okay.
So, hallo, ich bin Ellen und du? Hallo, ich bin Peter. Also ich komme aus Deutschland. Ich bin Lehrer und wohne in Berlin. Und du? Ich komme aus England, aber ich wohne hier in Berlin. Und ich bin Designerin. Ah, wie interessant.
Super, das hast du sehr, sehr gut gemacht. You did it very well. I have only one thing to mention, and it is the R or the ER pronunciation, which is really difficult for many speakers, not only English native speakers, also Spanish, Russian. Actually, most of the people in the world pronounce the R in a different way than the Germans do. And especially, so usually the R we pronounce in German like the French one, the R, you know? But when it's in a combination with ER, like in Lehrer, or which one was the other word? You had Peter, ich bin Peter. Then at the end, it becomes an A. Can you see this?
Okay.
So in Lehrer, we don't say Lehrer or Peter. We say Lehrer, Peter.
Peter.
Can you say that?
Ja,
Lehrer,
Lehrer,
Peter.
Peter.
Sehr gut. Okay. Good
Vielen
job.
Dank. Vielen Dank. Okay. So, cool. I'll try that one more time. So, ich bin Peter. Ich bin Lehrer.
Ja, sehr gut.
Okay, cool. Now
Und
let's.
ich wohne hier. Can you say here?
Ich wohne hier.
Yeah.
Okay. So when that's got the IE, that's
Yes.
slightly different? Or is
Always
that
when you
just like
have
an
the ER, it's A. So basically in here, you also have the ER at the end.
Okay. Okay.
So
So it
it's
is.
here.
Okay. It is a bit of a E. Ah. Okay. Here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The E we pronounce is just the ER that it's pronounced like A.
Perfect. Okay. Cool. Cool.
Okay. Good.
Let's check the next conversation here. Okay. This is about hobbies. Was sind deine Hobbys, Peter? Ich höre gern Pop oder klassische Musik und ich spiele Gitarre. Und du? Ich höre nicht gern Pop, aber klassische Musik ist okay. Gymnastik ist mein Lieblingssport. Ich bin sehr aktiv. Und du? Ich spiele Basketball, aber mein Lieblingssport ist Schlafen. Ach so. Und Pizza ist mein Lieblingsessen. Ich singe gern und ich bin Beatles-Fan. Super. Das ist meine Lieblingsband.
Yay. Sehr gut.
Okay.
Okay.
Trying to get the ahs for those words.
Yes, and
like,
you did very well with, I'll show you. So with the words sehr und super, you did very well. But then I feel like you got, you were not sure if it's the same with aber. It's actually the same. And also gern.
Okay.
Gern. So it's basically, again, like a little a. Gern.
Gern.
Gern. Yeah.
Gern. Okay.
Good. And also basketball, I know that it's the same like in English, but the pronunciation is basketball.
Basketball. Okay.
Yeah, we just read it as we see it. Basketball.
Basketball. Okay. And with double S's and one S, I have a slight hesitation there. Is it?
Yeah.
When I see double S, it's or a single S is a Z sound.
Yeah. So when you have super, the S is by itself, it's one S. So we pronounce it like a Z, super. But that's only when the S is at the beginning of the word or at the beginning of the syllable. So when you have word like basketball, it will be again S because even if it's one S.
What about in hobbies? Is that an Z or S?
It's an S.
Hobbies.
Only if it's at the beginning of the syllable, it will be Z.
Okay. But
for example, gesehen.
Oh, okay. Gesehen. Okay.
See.
Okay. In classic music, that's a classic.
But that's double S anyways. Yes. When it's double S, it's always S.
Okay. Okay. And Singer, Singer super. Okay.
Yeah, Singer und super. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And Lieblingsband? Okay.
Because it's not at the beginning of the syllable.
Okay. That makes sense.
Actually, the Z sound is only when it's followed by a vowel. So you have to be sehr, Sahne, süß. In this case, it's Z.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Let's move on to the next conversation here. Okay. So this is about reasons to learn German. This is conversation 3. So, ich lerne gern Sprachen. Und du? Warum lernst du Deutsch? Ich lerne Deutsch, weil, naja, ich habe Familie hier in Deutschland und ich möchte hier wohnen. Und ich finde die Sprache faszinierend. Ich möchte Land und Leute kennenlernen und vielleicht einen Job finden. Dein Plan ist toll und dein Deutsch ist sehr gut. Bravo, Dankeschön.
Bravo, sehr gut. Yeah. Can you say again this word for me, please?
Let me check.
This one?
Sprache. Okay. Is it?
So it's Sprache.
Sprache.
So the SP in combination we pronounce as sh, like Sport. Sport,
Sport.
Sprache, Spanisch.
Spanisch, Spiele.
Spielen, genau, oder Spieler, genau.
Okay.
Okay. Und faszinierend, you know what faszinierend means?
Fascinating?
Yeah,
I'm not
faszinierend. Faszinierend. So that's the
okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Faszinierend.
Faszinierend. It's pronounced like TS, you know?
Faszinierend. Okay, perfect.
Good.
Yeah, using that whiteboard helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because with a visual, we also remember it better together with the sound.
Okay, and I wasn't sure if any other doubts here. No, I think basically the conversation seems kind of clear to follow.
So warum lernst du Deutsch?
Oh, why do I am learning German? Well, ich habe Deutsch gelernt in der Universität. Aber das war in 1999 und 2000, Jahr 2000 und ich bin in Deutschland gegangen.
Nach Deutschland?
Nach Deutschland gegangen. Zweimal? Zweimal.
Bist du zu Fuß gegangen?
Nein, in Flug.
Ja.
Ich bin in Frankfurt arrived.
Angekommen.
Angekommen. Und der erste Mal, ich hatte nicht so viel Deutsch gelernt und ich hatte gern praktizieren und in der Airport ich will anfragen, entschuldigen Sie mich, haben Sie die Öffnungszeit? Und niemand will sprechen mit mich. Alles nur
Sie haben nur gezeigt, wie spät es ist.
Wie hört es? Wie spät ist es? Okay.
Ja, die haben das gezeigt.
Sprechen bitte.
Ja.
Nein. Habe viele Fragen gemacht, aber nicht so viele Leute hätten sprechen. Und 4 Jahre später, ich bin in Deutschland gegangen, allein gegangen.
Ich bin nach Deutschland gefahren.
Nach Deutschland gefahren?
Nach Deutschland gefahren, ja.
Mit dem Zug?
Ja.
Train? Ja. Und ich bin in Frankfurt gegangen und in Erfurt, Eisenach und Weimar.
Schön.
Und mit dem Zug, ich hätte ein Zugkarte für eine Woche. Und ich könnte fahren viele Mal. Und ich bin in einer Stadt für Frühstück ein Stadt für Mittagessen und ein Stadt für Abendessen und Schlafen. Und
Schön.
der nächsten Tag.
Wieder.
Ja.
Und in welcher Stadt hat es dir am besten geschmeckt?
Geschmeckt. The food?
Genau, du hast gegessen.
In Frankfurt, ich habe ein Apfeltarte
Ja.
Apfeltarte mit Kaffee und Cappuccino getrinken und es war wunderbar.
Ja.
Ich habe ein sehr gut Memory, Souvenir.
Erinnerung. Okay.
Erinnerung. I think that my typical German cliche, the apple pie and good coffee.
Genau. Schön. Ja, Frankfurt ist eine sehr schöne Stadt. Ich habe auch viele Jahre in der Nähe von Frankfurt gewohnt. In Marburg.
Near Frankfurt?
Mhm.
Okay.
Marburg. Es ist eine Universitätsstadt. Ich habe dort studiert in Marburg. Das ist so 80 Kilometer nördlich von Frankfurt. Ja.
Und wie viele Zeit hast du dort? What's the past participle to be Gesehen? No,
gewesen, ja.
So how long were you there? Wie lange hast du gewesen?
Wie lange bist du dort gewesen oder wie lange warst du dort? Yeah, actually in German it doesn't matter which past tense you use because they both mean the same. You could say, bist du gewesen oder warst du? Ich war insgesamt 10 Jahre dort.
Wie viele?
Ja, 10 Jahre.
10 Jahre?
Okay. Ja, sehr lange.
Das ist lange.
Ja, mein halbes Leben fast. Ja. Aber ich liebe Deutschland. Ich finde, Deutschland ist ein super schönes Land. Sehr interessant, die Kultur, die Sprache. Es ist faszinierend, wie wir gelernt haben im Dialog. Ja.
How do you say I agree?
Einverstanden.
Ich bin
einverstanden. Einverstanden. Like verstanden, you know, understood. You know the word verstehe, ich habe verstanden. Einverstanden means I agree.
And with you, mit dir?
Mit dir, genau.
Mit
dir.
Ich
Again,
bin einverstanden mit dir.
Dir, ja.
Okay.
Ja.
Und wann hast du Deutsch
unterrichtet oder gelehrt?
Okay, Deutsch gelehrt beginnen?
Ich habe angefangen nach der Uni Deutsch zu unterrichten. Ja, ich habe Englisch und Deutsch studiert an der Uni und dann bin ich in die USA gefahren und dort habe ich an Penn State University unterrichtet. Ich war dort Deutschlehrerin und dann habe ich Deutschland vermisst und bin wieder zurückgefahren.
Okay. What was the last word? What was that? Sorry.
Vermisst? Ich habe vermisst. I missed Germany. Ja, vermisst.
Ja. Okay, vermisst.
Und dann bin ich zurückgefahren.
Okay.
I went back. And then, ja, und dann habe ich dort an der Uni unterrichtet und in ein paar Privatschulen und auch in ein paar Firmen habe ich auch unterrichtet. Und dann habe ich meinen Mann kennengelernt Und er hat gesagt, komm, lass uns nach Italien fahren. Und ich habe gesagt, was? Italien? Aber dort ist momentan Krise. Es gibt keine Jobs. Warum sollen wir nach Italien? Und dann hat er gesagt, ach, Italien ist so schön. Wir können dort schönen Käse essen oder leckeren Käse essen und guten Wein trinken. Und ich habe gesagt, okay. Und dann sind wir nach Italien umgezogen. Ja.
Und das, ja, viele Reise und viele Städte
Ja.
für Wohnen. Oh, I'm not sure that makes sense. Many places for traveling and for living.
Yes, we did. We lived in many places. And now, currently, we live in Hungary. Yeah, we moved a year ago.
Nein.
Ja.
Welches Region oder welches Stadt?
Wir wohnen in Budapest, in der
Budapest.
Hauptstadt.
Ah.
Warst du schon mal in Budapest?
Szép Virág.
Igen.
A pretty city.
Yes.
Ich bin in Budapest gegangen in 2008. Ja, ich habe in Frankreich gewohnt, 6 Jahre. Und just before moving to Mexico.
Gerade bevor ich nach Mexiko.
Gerade bevor ich nach Mexiko
umgezogen
bin ich in Hungary,
Ungarn
gefahren. Und auch nach Wien, nach Budapest, nach Bratislava,
schön.
nach Krakau und Prag. Und also ich habe 6 Monaten bevor den Reisen Ungarisch, Tschech und Polnisch gelernt.
Wow.
Für die Reise.
Ja. So viele Sprachen.
Und nicht so viele.
Ja, aber du hast.
Ich studiere gern.
Für eine Reise hast du 3 Sprachen gelernt. Nicht schlecht.
Ja, ich habe den TV-Series Friends benutzen mit den Subtitles.
Ja.
Ich habe gesucht. I'll try to explain this, but I found subtitles because it was a popular TV show. I found the subtitles in many languages. So I took the text file, put them side by side, and I had the English, Hungarian, Czech, and Polish for the same dialogue. I put this in an Excel file, and I could read this on my cell phone when I was commuting. And it was actually pretty helpful. You could get basic conversation with, hi, how are you? And see it like 3 or 4 languages. So it was kind of like batch language hacking.
Wow.
It paid off.
It reminds me of Belgium. You know, once I went in Belgium to the movies, and they actually show that when they show a movie in original, they also have to translate it in Dutch and in French because they have both languages as official languages. And then if it's English movie, then you have it in 3 languages. I think it's kind of too much, but But interesting that you actually learned all of these three languages simultaneously with friends.
Yeah, with the subtitle, and then also with other resources. I was listening
Yeah.
to. There's a podcast for like Let's Learn Hungarian. I communicated with those people. I even met the people who organized that podcast. They were living in, I think they were transitioning from Japan back to Budapest, and I met them. We went out for a drink, and they featured me a couple times on their podcast. I mean, like I was kind of commenting on their stuff, and so. Uh, but for, I think I had at the time I had studied some Russian a long time before, so learning Czech and Polish was a little bit like activating my Russian and similar, kind of like the Romance languages with the
Yeah, yeah.
with the Slavic family. I also had to kind of like get my German up a little bit to visit Vienna, um, and I survived. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was crazy buying tickets, plane ticket or not, or bus tickets, train tickets in one in one place to get to the next one. So I had to get the train tickets in German to get to Budapest, and I had to get the bus tickets out of Budapest to get to Bratislava, then buy train tickets in Slovakian or Slovak to get to Krakow, and then get train tickets in Polish to get us to Prague, and then we already had the plane tickets to get back to Paris. But I had my phrase
Wow.
book, and I
Yeah.
like, do you have a discount for students? So it was a crazy adventure. I wish I had a recorder or something. I should have thought
Yeah,
about
because
this long
that's
time ago.
before the time of Google Translator.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
And before a lot of people started blogging and YouTube
yeah.
videoing about all the language stuff, so it would have been fun to have that memory. But
A
cool.
great adventure, huh?
So tell me a little bit about your ebooks and what you like to focus on.
hmm So since we moved here, I got my son, who is now a year and a half, and since he's so little, still he needs a lot of attention. So I decided to not teach so much because my schedule needs to be now really flexible. But I still want to work and I want to help people learning German. So I decided to write ebooks. And I was thinking about what I could focus on. And then I realized that many students have problems with specific words that sound very similar, or they're not sure which word to use, because you saw, for example, verstanden, einverstanden. In German, you can actually build a new word by adding just a prefix or a suffix, and then the word sometimes has a completely different meaning. And I also experienced that when I was learning languages. For example, in English, I was always confusing the words retarded and retired. And when people would ask me, so, for example, my parents-in-law now, when they met me the first time, they were like, so what are your parents doing? And I'm like, oh, don't worry, they're already retarded. And they were like, what do you mean? So out of those situations, they're mistakes, but they're funny mistakes. I decided to collect all of the funny mistakes that my students made along the years and put them in a book, which came in March. It's called Schluss mit den typischen Fehlern. It's like break with the typical mistakes. And it's all about those typical funny grammar or lexical mistakes that we make. And I'm actually talking about mistakes in general. The whole book came up because I organized like Fall in Love action in February. I wanted to raise awareness about mistakes because many students are really afraid of making mistakes. Especially, I know when I was learning German or English in school, our teachers were always correcting us and telling us that this is wrong, or you have to do this and that, and every mistake would be like marked with red. And you know, we have a negative connotation when we hear about a mistake or see it with the red color. We're like, oh God, this is bad. And then many people are afraid of making mistakes, right? But actually, mistakes are super important, because through our mistakes, we learn and improve. And our mistakes show us what we need to work on if we want to. Because, of course, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to always do everything correct. But there are people who want to speak correctly German or any other language. So I focused on those typical mistakes. I explained why we make mistakes. There are different reasons why we make mistakes. And the reasons that we cannot overcome, like sometimes we just transfer words from our native language. And sometimes they even work, because, for example, between English and German, there's so many similar words, you know, like winter, hand, they're really similar. So sometimes if you say the word actually in English, chances are that it might even exist in German. But sometimes you say a word like, I would like to make you a gift, and then gift in German, written the same way, pronounced the same way, means actually poison. So it can create also funny and strange situations. Yeah, so about all these things I wrote in my first book. And then because so many people liked it, they asked me to write more. So I continued on my blog to write about a typical mistake every week. And then now we have so many more mistakes that I am bringing out my second book, which is coming this week on the 21st of September.
Excellent.
And yeah, and everybody who orders it actually now before it comes out gets it 50% off. So
Nice.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit that link for your website and where to?
It's on www.germanskills.com, and I can write it on my great board. German Skills is my website. And if you go on there, you'll see immediately my little book on the side. But if you want to go directly to the book, then you can put / and then ebook. This will take you to my first book. Or if you put / Lexikfehler, lexical mistakes, it will bring you to my second book.
So it's XIKF.
Yes, this is how we write it in German. Yes, Lexikfehler. Yes, so the books are in German. They are meant for people who already have some knowledge. So I would say intermediate level. You need to know how to build sentences. You need to know how to make mistakes so that you can learn from your mistakes. But then from there on, actually, even if you're more advanced, it will help you, because there's so many confusing things that people are wondering, like, how do I use this word? Is it schreiben or anschreiben or aufschreiben? And what's the difference? So I explain all about these things. And then I give also exercises, which are always in a dialogue form, because just like Benny, I believe that in dialogues, we learn the best, because it's the most natural form of communication. So when you talk to people, it's mostly in the form of a dialogue. Maybe there are 3 people, but we don't talk in front of hundreds of people every day. So I think dialogues are one of the best ways to learn a language. And that's why I also prefer the private lessons, because I can see how people benefit from this dialogue form, you know, like question, answer. Do I make a mistake? Then here's the correction. And then they can move forward so much faster than, for example, in a class.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
We have a question here from Alan. He's mentioning with some of his German studies, knowing how to recognize the difference between the S set and just one S. So I think what he means here is maybe the pronunciation. And I mean, I know there was the German spelling reform Like I guess for me it was recently, but I guess it's now been at least 10 years probably or more.
Yeah.
So is the S set still in the language, or is it kind of people still write it, but they should be writing double S, or how has that evolved?
So in Germany, they made the reform where they replaced in some words the S set with the double S, but not all of the words. And actually now it makes more sense because there is a clear rule when to use which one. So I'll give you an example. The modal verb must. Ich muss, right? Ich muss, I have to, or I must, is pronounced shortly. Ich muss. And that's why, because it's a short U, we put double S after that. There is the word muss, like Apfelmus, which is pronounced long, muss. And when the vowel is pronounced long, we write the SZ. I'll give another example. For example,
Alan mentions the example Essig, like Essig.
Yeah, Essig, yeah. That's also short, Essig. So you write it with double S.
Is there an example with ESZ?
For example, maybe he's thinking about Essen. In the past, this word used to be written with the SZ, but now after the reform, it's written with double S. But the past tense of Essen is as, and because it sounds funny in English, as, but it's pronounced long, it's as. So we write it with SZ because it's a long as.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another example with just double S for German.
Spaß, for example.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fun, right? Spaß.
Spaß. Okay. And okay, and just some last insights here, but what would you say would be some of the, I don't know, top 5 mistakes you correct the most with your language learners?
I think pronunciation mistakes are usually something that happens often, which is totally logical, right? Because we just transfer from our native language. The pronunciation. The R is one of the pronunciation mistakes. Another problem that many students have are the umlauts, like Ü, Ö, you know, those with the dots. And sometimes people also, depending on which native language they have, they're confusing A and E. Yeah, that's in terms of pronunciation. In terms of grammar, the most common mistakes are, of course, the articles, because in German we have der, die, das, and then they change depending on accusative or dative or genitive. So with those, people have problems. Also, when they put them in a sentence and then they have a preposition, then the prepositions are also messing up everything. So those are the most typical grammar mistakes. And then there are also, when I see people writing me emails or homework, I see very often the Google mistakes that people make, which is they just put the word in Google Translator and take the first correspondence or the first translation. And this is actually one of the mistakes that is on the cover of my first book. It's called Ich bin ein großer Fußballventilator. And this mistake happened in a German exam with one of my students. They had to do a dialogue, and the one student was asking, so was ist dein Hobby? And the other student was answering, ich bin ein großer Fußballventilator. And I was like, ventilator? What do you mean? He's like, I'm a big football fan. But this is what happened, is he just put the word fan and he got two correspondences like fan or ventilator, and he was thinking it can be the same word, so he took ventilator, which is like the fan that moves the air. But actually in German we have the word fan, which is fan. And I thought this was hilarious, so that's why I chose it actually even for my cover. Yeah. So I think those are the most typical mistakes. And then it depends a lot on what is your native language, because many mistakes come as transfer from our mother tongue, which is very normal. But then if you look at them contrastively and when you see, okay, these are the differences and these are the similarities, then you can work on them on a more conscious level.
Cool. Okay, and another viewer here, Hossam Aldim, he's asking how he could get a lesson like this. So I think this has been a very enjoyable experience, getting a chance to practice in German, get your feedback and correction. So how would people be able to sign up for a lesson?
He can write me on my website, germanskills.com. There's all my contact information. I also organize classes. I have private classes and I have also group classes. Right now, we're starting in October a new conversation class, which is every Sunday at 3 o'clock, but it's on a higher level, so it depends which level he has. He can just write me. If he goes on my website, germanskills.com, there is right there a huge field that says leave me a comment, and then he can get in touch.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Any last questions from people in the viewers? So okay. Well, this has been a pleasure talking with you, and so we've covered a little bit here some of the really basic introductory conversations from Benny Lewis's new language hacking course that is coming out this month, and so that would be, it's a beginner's conversational way to kind of get your feet wet in the language, and once your feet are fully immersed, move on to materials and lessons with Diliana. So does your ebook also include, do you have some audio support with that as well?
I have videos, even better.
Perfect.
I do every week. So people can actually register for my weekly new mistake. And it comes every Monday, and they get a YouTube video where I explain the mistake. I give them examples how to use it correctly. And then on the blog, I publish a whole exercise, like a dialogue, where they have to fill in the gaps. So it's all free every week. A new mistake.
Can you put the link here for your YouTube channel as well? I mean, are these videos that you host on your site, or do you host them?
They are also on YouTube, and I publish them actually also on Facebook. So yeah, but they can, if they go to germanskills.com and then if they go to Lexikfehler, they can just register for the newsletter. And then, because it's right there, the box under the picture of the book, there's a box that says Registriere dich. And if you register there, you can even win the book once a month. I do like a tombola, like a lottery, and there is always somebody who wins it. This month, actually, I did a big tombola, and I gave it to 20 people.
Nice.
It was like a big game. They had to comment and share the videos, and then if they register, they'll get now in the next 10 days, every day, a new mistake with a video. But then after that, it's just once a week.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Alan is mentioning that your website looks amazing. So.
Oh, I'm happy he likes it.
Yeah.
Great. Alan, how long have you been learning German? Write us in the comments, or everybody maybe can write a comment. How long have you been learning German? And what are your biggest problems or struggles? Jonathan, what is your biggest problem with German?
Getting myself just to speak. I would say, like, it's weird. It's like riding a bicycle. I haven't used the German like in 8 years, and then before that, it was like another 5 years, and it's just it doesn't go away. I mean, it's not that I
It's
try to forget
true.
the language, but it's like
It's
this is kind
there.
of weird. I mean, I just have to activate it, be a little bit more proactive. I'm starting to make some videos. Haven't been quite consistent with every single day. Like the weekends have been a little crazy recently, but I've started to get myself into doing 6 languages in 6 minutes. So I'm
Whoa.
doing like a minute in French, a minute in Spanish, a minute in German, a minute in Italian, a minute in Russian, and like a comment introduction in English, and just to kind of keep bump my German and Italian up. And recently I've been
How do you
working on
do
Russian.
that in a minute?
I use a timer and just give myself a topic. It's a little inspired from my TOEFL prep students
Yeah.
who they have to
Oh
come up with
yeah.
these questions for like, here's a topic for 15 seconds
Yeah.
and then 45 seconds to speak. So I've
Yeah.
been a little inspired by that for just like, I know it's a mental challenge. And what's kind of strange right now with how my Russian has been more recent and it has kind of overtaken or surpassed my German. So when I'm trying to speak in German in the videos,
The Russian comes up.
suddenly the Russian just pops up. So I'll have this like I want
I
to say
feel
each
like
thing
with
to
me it's the same. I feel like our languages are like layers on top of each other. And when you try to access the center of foreign languages, the last one that you learned or used is coming out. And you're like, why? Like, why? I'm not fluent in this language at all, but now I have the word in this language. It was the same with me when I was learning Russian, and I was making mistakes just like the Germans were. And I'm like, why? Actually, Bulgarian is my native language. I should be able to say it correctly because it's the same in Bulgarian, but I was doing the same mistakes as Germans. I was making the same mistakes as Germans because it was just the language that I was using all the time, and it was on top of my head. And now
Mhm.
when I want to speak Hungarian, Italian is coming up because this is a language that I used to speak all the time. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've had a similar experiences in the past where like I get the impression like it's an onion. So
Yeah.
like my second language would be Spanish, then French, then German, then Italian, and then I guess it gets like just everything. Then maybe Russian after the Italian. So I think if I had to like get a core 6 or so languages that I really want to get solid, those would be it kind of. And when I was learning French from my experience based in Spanish, yeah, there was a huge mix. Like if I didn't know a word in French, I would go to Spanish, then go to English. And then when I was learning German, I'd go to French, then Spanish, then English. Where I was like, wait, English and German are a lot closer linked, but for some reason, some grammatical structures were somewhat related between French and German. A few things like the
Yeah.
present perfect as the past tense or things like that. And Alan is telling us that he studied German for 2 or 3 years in high school, but then he stopped his German lessons because the teachers were terrible. And but I mean he still enjoys the German language, but and says I mean he's no longer in high school, so I think he's now at the university, and but he would like to try out different accents and practice the speaking. So that's cool. Okay. And Alan, Viviana just joined the Facebook group, so you can chat in there as well and hear more about Viviana's advice for the German
Sure.
language. So
Yeah. They can
okay,
always write questions, posts. Yeah, I'm there to help.
cool, cool. Well, I think this is probably a good place to wrap it up. I think we've been on here for maybe about 40 minutes, and I think that's a good idea for people to get an idea of your teaching style and a little bit more your feedback and your advice. So definitely take a look at Juliana's website, German Skills. That's plural,
Yes.
GermanSkills.com,
Yep.
and she's got a lot of great advice and a lot of great materials. So I look forward to looking at more of this material and getting a chance to practice with you and see for that. So thank you very much for this kind of trial lesson, live lesson, and a little bit of a interview as well. So
sure, it's been fun. I enjoyed it a lot. And you're also welcome to register for the newsletter and maybe use my videos to improve your German skills.
I hope so.
It's German skills, because I believe that people need to develop real skills. It's not just learning the language theoretically. It's a skill to actually use it. And I think that's my focus on when I teach. I like to enable people to actually develop real skills for life. So yeah, come on over and learn with me German.
Perfect.
All right.
And if you guys are here live still right now, we're going to do a Spanish lesson. I'll be teaching Alan some basic Spanish like an hour from now. I mean, if you're watching this video on a repeat, this won't be live, but I'll put a link for that other video so you guys can check that out as well. But thank you once again, Dilyana. Vielen Dank.
Danke auch. Und auf Wiedersehen. Bis bald.
Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.
Tschüss.